Okay, in this part, we're going to look at the lead vocal sound.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay.
First of all, I love this singer. He's amazing.
Buses on strike when they're raising fare.
So his
So they can help
signal path is a Focusrite ISA 830, or excuse me, 828. I have to say the right gear. A Focusrite 828 preamp, and the microphone we're using is a Shure Beta 87A. So the first thing that I generally like to do is I like to get an EQ going. So in this instance, let's start with just an SSL EQ.
Trashman didn't get my trash today.
Let's clean up some low end.
Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Buses on strike when they're raising fare. So they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel. Changing people's heads around, go underground, young men. People make the world go round. Wall Street losing stock on every share. They're blaming it along the hair. Big man smoking in his easy chair on a fat cigar without a care. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel. Changing people's heads around, go underground, young man.
Okay, so the next thing I like to do is I like to add let's add a multiband compressor in this instance. Studio recording, I really like to use an 1176. That's generally my next in line in my vocal chain. But since we're dealing with a lot of things, having a multiband compressor is good. I just like the C4. I think the C4 is cool. There's a setting in here called pop vocal that I usually start with. So let's start with that.
Trashman didn't get my trash today.
So we're noticing here that we've got an EQ curve here that's built in, so we're boosting some high end.
Buses on strike when they're raising fare, so they can help pollute the air.
So I think that a slamming, super compressed vocal is great most of the time. I think that a mistake that a lot of people make is they are trying to make one plugin do it. The most important thing in any recording is the vocal. But if you notice, the first thing that I heard about the vocal that I didn't like was it was a little, not necessarily boomy, but I needed more top end. I needed more air to it. So in my EQ here, I have a pretty serious high pass filter in. So we have a high pass filter at 124. I'm boosting 8K by almost 3 dB, and I'm boosting my high mids here at about 3.5. And I'm multiplying that. I'm using my boost and my GEQ here. But it still is not enough. But what you heard when I cranked this knob up in this channel of EQ, it didn't boost the high frequencies in a very pleasing way. It got very tinny. So the pop vocal setting in my C4 is going to give me a little bit of high frequency boost, and it's also going to compress those frequencies. But if you notice, the first thing I did was take my thresholds up. I don't want to really be slamming it. We don't have a huge amount of range here. if we're looking across the board, we have about 6 dB of gain reduction in this plugin.
Trashman didn't get my trash today.
So what I'm listening for here is,
Oh, why? Because they want more pay.
I just want to take care of some problem things. So our air band up here is
so they can help.
Our air band is just taking care of a lot of hi-hats and things like that. So
But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs.
now, here is why we want to do things as a group. So let's watch this as an example. We're going to put our group here up at Unity, and we're going to watch the gain staging on both of these plugins.
Trashman didn't get my trash today.
So we're hitting our EQ at about minus 30.
Because they want more pay.
And we're about the same thing on,
Buses on strike
we're a little hotter on here. We're peaking at about minus 14.
So they can help pollute the
let's take our
air.
channel down, and we'll see what that does.
But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel. Changing people's heads around. Go underground, young man. People make the world go round.
Now it's not doing it as much because we have this as a true insert here.
Wall Street losing stock on every share.
But we'll notice that we can keep our channel gain at a consistent mark,
Big man smoking in his
and we can take our gain down here.
without a care.
Now, if you were running these directly in line instead of as an insert, that would matter more. It's a little bit more apparent.
The
but
world go around, the ups and downs,
the next thing I like to do is I generally like to add a de-esser in the chain.
Changing people's heads around. Go underground, young man. People make
I like the Renaissance de-esser. It's really easy to use.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they
I like
want
to use
more
the narrow
pay.
setting because it can take not only the teeth noise out, but in this instance, since we're boosting so much high end, we're certainly not having too much high end. I want to use this to clear up the vocal. So there's a little bit of ha sound in there. We want to take that out. So let's see what we can do with this.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Buses on strike want a raise in fare, so they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs.
So we're not using it for the teeth. We're finding that we want to hit around.
Changing people's heads around. Go underground, young man. People make the world go round. Wall Street losing stock on every share.
So really, a de-esser is acting in this instance as a single band of multiband compression at a very narrow octave, at a very narrow frequency. So now that we've hacked this thing to death, let's warm it up a little bit. My favorite method of warming up a vocal is the LA2A. I think this could be my favorite piece of gear of all time. I love this. I love this plugin. I love the real piece of gear too. It's amazing. So we'll just start this up.
Trashman didn't get my trash today.
It's very simple to use. All you have to do is dial the peak reduction knob in.
Buses on strike want a raise in fare, so they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round.
So we've got a very processed vocal sound going on right now. Let's see what it says, what it sounds like when we take it out.
Changing people's heads around. Go underground, young man.
Let's take our LA2A's gain down a little bit. This thing could be a preamp in itself. I want to make sure that our gain is more one-to-one.
Wall Street losing stock on every share. They're blaming it along the hair. Big man smoking in his easy chair. On a fancy car. That's what makes the world go round. The ups and downs, the carousel. People make the world go round. Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay.
I think this is a good starting point.
Buses on strike want to raise and fare, so they can help pollute the air. But that's what
I don't love it,
makes the
but I don't hate it.
world the ups and downs, the carousel. Changing people's heads
Put a little pitch slap on it too to give us a little bit of a chorus effect. Picking the vocal up a little bit.
People make the world go round.
Just want to. Now it's time for some delay.
Wall Street losing stock. Yeah, they're blaming it along the hair.
There's all the delay.
Big man smoking in his easy chair.
We'll tap this in. Pull this guy up.
But that's what makes the world go round. The ups and downs, the carousel. People make the world go round.
Cool. Obviously, we're not going to use all that delay, but we'll dial it in.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Buses on strike want to raise and fare, so they can help pollute the air.
Cool. So, at this point, let's look at our rooms.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why?
So we have our rooms labeled as stage left and stage right. Stage left is going to be audience right. So let's pan that hard right, and stage right is going to be audience left. So let's pan that left.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why?
As always, let's check our phase relationship. Excuse me, our polarity relationship. Okay, so in this instance, let's work on this as a group. So we're going to flip our phase here. Excuse me, invert our polarity. Let's get some sub-frequency out of here. Ooh, sorry about that.
But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel. Changing people's heads around, go underground, young men.
Cool. So we're at a good spot. Let's give this a listen.
People make the world go round. False illusions stuck on every share. They're blaming it along the hair. Big man smoking in his easy chair. On a fancy car without a care. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel.
Great. I think we've got a good balance now. At this point, I usually like to print this as to and really listen to it and really kind of dig in and see the things that I did quickly and the things that I may need to work on. I generally don't like to spend that much time getting sounds. Just because I like to work fast. If you start really obsessing about things, then it just becomes mud. You make your best decisions quickly. If it sounds good, twist a couple of knobs, make it sound better. If it sounds bad, then replace it or go from there. So, in this instance, I think this sounds really good. So I'm going to print a 2-track. I'm going to print a 2-track of this, and I'm going to listen to it. And once I really kind of learn the song a little bit better and listen to the track over and over a few more times, I generally like to give it a day or so. I don't like to listen to it again for a day or so, just so that it is fresh. Obviously, if a project deadline will allow you, that's a good way to do it. If you're under a pretty serious deadline to have something mixed in a day or so, now would be a good time to step out and get a sandwich or a cup of coffee or something like that. But it's very important that you do this step quickly. You establish your levels, and then you listen to it. You can come back, and then it'll help you make just better decisions. You always make better decisions when your mind is fresh and when you're away from a project for a minute. So at this point, I'm going to just save one last time, and I'm going to print this. I won't bore you with watching you print it, but in our next video segment, we're going to come back and we're going to do a listen with a fresh mind and a fresh set of ears, and then we'll talk about automation.